Hello, my name is Hannah Snider, and this is my Expressive Arts Therapeutic activity. The activity is called Stop the Whatif Monster, and it uses both bibliotherapy and art therapy. The activity is based on the book Jonathan James and the Whatif Monster by Michelle Nelson Schmidt, and it uses solution-focused strategies. Stop the Whatif Monster could be used for lots of elementary settings. It could be used for individual counseling, small groups, or a whole class lesson, focusing on teaching students to gain control of their worry, anxiety, and fear. And that's the setting that I used this for, was a whole class lesson. I would like to try it in a small group setting. I just didn't have the opportunity to do that this week. Here's a picture of the cover of the book, Jonathan James and the Whatif Monster. The overall theme of the book is to stop worry, fear, and self-doubt and to try new things, even though they're a little bit scary. The overall goals would be to help students identify fears, send their worries away, and replace their fear or worry with a positive outlook. A specific objective would be that students will identify things they are worried about and learn to turn their worry into a positive goal. The target age for this book would be early elementary age students. It is a great book, but the illustrations are more geared towards smaller children. So I think kindergarten through third grade, even preschool could read this. And the activity Stop the Whatif Monster was created specifically for some third grade students that I work with. The book could be used with diverse populations. It illustrates a lot of activities that are common for children, such as climbing trees, playing sports, creating art, and making new friends. The illustrations do include children with different skin tones and have both male and female characters, and I did find there's a Spanish version of the book available. Here are the activity instructions for Goodbye Whatif Monster. At the beginning of the lesson, we talked about what is worry, what fear and doubt, and I asked students, do you ever think what if and worry about the bad things that could happen? And some of them shared examples at that time. And then I read the first several pages of the book. In the beginning of the book, the Whatif Monster is following Jonathan James around and saying things to him like, what if this happens? What if that happens? And so after each page, we talked about the activity that was going on in the page to see if students could connect with those similar feelings. The page that I showed here is a picture from the book, and they're getting ready to run a big race. And so the Whatif Monster is saying, what if you lose? What if you're last? What if you're slow and never get fast? The next thing we did was stop reading, and we switched gears to the art part of the activity. I asked students to think of something specific that they are worried or scared or nervous about, and then I asked them to create a monster to represent that fear. I gave them paper and art supplies and just told them their monster could look however they wanted. I did tell them they could name their monster. So you can see in this picture that the monster's name is Jeff. He's kind of cute, but a little bit grumpy looking. Here are some more pictures of monsters. These students chose not to color, and that was okay. Then, after we drew our monsters, I finished the book and read the second half. And this is when the second half of the book is when the story switches gears, and Jonathan James asks the monster, what if you're wrong? And so he starts thinking about positive things that could happen when he tries new things and does his best, has fun, takes risks. And so this picture from the book shows where they did try the race, and it says, what if I run in a really big race and have a great time no matter what place? So he changed all his worries from what if I stink at the race to what if I have fun no matter what? So then we went back to the art activity after finishing the book, and I told the students that they got to send their monster away so it's not following them anymore and causing them to worry. And so they got to decide how they wanted to get rid of their monster. I did give a few examples, but not too many. I wanted students to come up with their own creative solutions. I did tell them that they couldn't hurt their monster. And so here's Jeff again. He has his suitcase, and the student wrote, "Bye, Jeff. Have a good time in China." So the monster will be in China and not following them around to cause them to worry. Here are a couple other pictures. This first picture is going to Africa, has his suitcase packed. And then Billy Bob is here in a cage and is being shipped to Florida. These two pictures are really what I was imagining the students would create. This is what I had in mind if I would have done the activity. These students came up with really creative solutions that I had not even thought of, which is pretty typical that students exceed our expectations. They manipulated the paper in order to send theirs away. So you can see the top picture is of a paper airplane. So they just turned their monster paper into an airplane so they could physically send it away, which I thought was great. And then the bottom picture, they turned their paper into an envelope and they're mailing it to Wyoming so that it will be very far away from them. The student who made the envelope came up to me later in the day and showed me their envelope again. They had staples all the way around the edges so the monster couldn't escape. So I just thought those were some really great ideas that I would not have done, and I'm glad I didn't give too specific of directions because that may have hindered their creativity. So some of the questions that I asked to help process this activity were kind of throughout the activity, but also at the end. So what is your worry? After they had already created their monsters and figured out how to get rid of them, we did talk. In the whole class setting, I did not make everyone share their worries. If I had done this in a small group, we probably all would have had a turn to talk about what our worries were. But one student said they were worried about being hit with a baseball because they've been playing catch in the yard and their brother had hit them with a ball. So now at their baseball practice, they're worried that that's going to happen again. So they got rid of their monster by sending it to space. And so the next question I ask is, what will you think about this week instead of the negative, what if I get hit with the ball? And so we wrote a goal, and that student's goal was, I will have fun playing softball. And they also said, what if I catch a pop fly? So thinking about those positive things instead of what if the pop fly hits me in the face. So next week when I meet with this class again, I'll check in with them and see how things have gone, see if they have had less worry. And they were really excited about this lesson, and their teacher was too. She said she thought she probably needed to do this herself. So I was really pleased with how the activity went. I did find a few additional resources to go with it. I definitely recommend this book, Jonathan James and the Whatif Monster. It is from Kane Miller Publishing, and so this first link here in the middle of the page will lead you to a place where you can purchase the book. It also has a book review. There's a plush Whatif monster that you can buy, and there's a free printable coloring page. The bottom link is a YouTube video that shows the author reading the book, and she explains that she created the Whatif monster as a friend that you could tell your what ifs to so they don't worry you anymore. So I didn't see this YouTube video until after I had already done the lesson with students. So my perspective of the monster was a little different than hers, but she gives her insight on that in this video. And so that's also a really great resource for us to use. And I hope that you liked this activity and can find it useful for your own students. Thanks.